In a previous video, we talked about the medical interview, and if you haven't seen that video, you should definitely check it out. But in this video, I want to hone in on the MMI specifically and share with you guys my top 5 tips and tricks to ace the MMI. Hello friends, welcome back to another video. If you're new to the channel, welcome. My name's Emmanuel, and I'm a first-year medical student at McGill University. So without further ado, let's get into the top 5 tips and tricks for acing the MMI. All right, so the first tip is that first impressions are key. What do I mean by this? Well, there's a term in psychology that's called the primacy effect. And that primacy effect states that we remember information better when it's initially presented to us, rather than information that's presented later on. So in an interview, this means that when you interact with the evaluator for the first time, that first 5 to 10 seconds is crucial. So my recommendation to you all is that you take the first 5 to 10 seconds to introduce yourself with a smile. For example, hi, my name's Emmanuel, and thank you for taking the time to interview me today. That one sentence already puts you off to a good start, because not only are you introducing yourself to the evaluator, but you're also thanking them for the time that they're taking out of their day just to interview hundreds of students. Tip number 2, prepare in advance. Whoever tells you that you could walk into that interview and just be yourself and ace it is wrong. I'm sorry, but that's not how it is. Yes, you want to be yourself at your interview, but again, you want to be the best version of yourself. And the best way to bring out the best qualities of yourself is to prepare in advance, especially those personal questions. You think you can answer the question, tell me about yourself, but if you really take 2 seconds to think about how you would answer that question, I'm sure you'd have a much more difficult time than not. Where do you start with? What do you say? What do you even talk about and tell me about yourself? That's something you need to think about and something you need to prepare in case you get that question on interview day. Tip number 3, and I cannot stress this one enough, read the prompt carefully. There could be key information in that prompt that gives you an idea of how to open in the scenario. And if you miss out on that information, it already shows that you're not paying attention. And on interview day, you have to be paying attention. Your attention levels need to be at their highest, okay? So make sure you read the prompt. You have a minute to read it, or however time you have to read it. Read every single word. And if you still have time, read it again to make sure that you didn't miss anything, okay? Because that could be crucial information that can really negatively affect you if you're not paying close attention. Tip number 4, and this one's super important in the acting stations, that's active listening. Make sure that your active listening levels are top notch on interview day. Because if someone is crying or complaining or for whatever reason, just talking to you and sharing information with you, you want to show that you're engaged in the conversation. All right, this can show a lot of good qualities that you might have. So how can you do this, especially over Zoom? Well, some of my personal favorite tricks are the following. Lean in, for example, like this. Show that you're attentive. Maintain eye contact. Yes, I'm not saying stare at your webcam, but at least look at your screen. They have an idea that you're really paying attention, and nod your head as they're talking to you so you understand, okay? And something I like to do at the end of those stations after the person's finished venting is to summarize, to make sure that I've gathered all that information that they just shared with me and that I'm not missing out any important information. Okay, for example, I could say something like, okay, I understand where you're coming from. I just wanted to summarize to make sure that I understood everything properly. So you said such and such. Is there anything that I missed? So that shows that you're actively engaging, you're gathering information, you paid attention because you were able to summarize and repeat what the person said. These are all great qualities. And if you think about it again, between a patient and their physician, if they're giving, you're taking a medical history and they're telling you all these things and you've summarized, well, then the patient feels like they've been heard. Okay, my doctor listened to me, they heard everything that I had to say, and oh, that reminds me, I forgot to mention this. Okay, it's the same thing here. The point of these interviews is to assess whether or not you have the qualities to be a physician one day. So there's a lot of analogies and comparisons between an interview that you think has nothing to do with medicine because there are no medical scenarios, and the actual patient and physician relationship. And active listening is one of them. And finally, the fifth trick or tip, and probably the most important one, is to be confident. Okay, you got an interview to medical school or any professional program, or even if it's a job. Okay, the fact that you got an interview means that you're qualified on paper, and if you're qualified on paper, you better believe you're even better in person. So show that to them. And even if you slip up in a station, it doesn't matter. I slipped up in a station. I'm not ashamed to say it. I thought I completely botched my interview because of that one station. But when I moved on to the next station, I told myself, wait a minute, I can't let this station slip up because ruin my chances of getting in, because I worked so hard to get into medical school and my top choice. One station is not going to bring me down. And lo and behold, I got accepted even though I thought I messed up on a station. Why? Because I was able to reset. In between the stations, I just reset my brain. I told myself, hey, put this aside. It's a whole new station, whole new scenario. We restart. Okay? Same thing for you. Whether you mess up on the first station, the last station, or you think you messed up, doesn't matter. For the rest of the interview, I need you to be confident in your abilities, because it's those abilities that got you at the medical interview or whatever interview in the first place. So thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Just kidding. But thanks guys for watching this video. I really appreciate it. As always, don't forget to like and subscribe. And of course, I'll catch you in the next one.